Hi, I'm not a travel blogger, but I got back from Tokyo yesterday, and before going to Tokyo, actually, I had watched a lot of different videos on how to use the train system, but I still had many difficulties figuring my way out in Tokyo. And I realized that there are some points, very important points, that are not covered in any videos on YouTube. So I just thought it would be really beneficial to create a short and informative video for people who are going to Tokyo for the first time. So obviously the first challenge that you'll face in Tokyo is to get from the airport, which is usually Narita International Airport, to your accommodation. To tackle this challenge, the first thing is to get connected on your phone to the internet. And there are several ways to do that. I'm not going to get to details of internet connection in this video, but you can get a pocket Wi-Fi device or a SIM card. When your internet is sorted out, the next thing is to get a ticket to be able to use the public transport system. There are two types of tickets in general. The first one is a JR pass. It's been discussed extensively in other videos on YouTube, so again, I'm not going to go into the details of that. So if you're gonna travel between Tokyo to other cities, some people start a long trip from Tokyo to Nagoya, then to Kyoto, then to Osaka, and even to Hiroshima. If you're that type of person, you should definitely get the JR pass. But if you're gonna only be in Tokyo, there's absolutely no need to get a JR pass. I was only in Tokyo for 7 days and I didn't use JR pass at all. But just remember that if you want to get a JR pass, you have to apply from your own country before getting into Japan. But regardless of having a JR pass or not, you definitely will need to get an IC card, which has two types of cards, Suica and Pasmo. I realized that Suica is a better option to go for, and I got a Suica card. I just want to get into the first important point that is not usually discussed in other videos on YouTube, and that's the difference between normal Suica card and the welcome Suica card. So there are two types of Suica card that you can get from Narita Airport. The normal one is the refundable one, but there's also this welcome Suica card that is fully non-refundable. So if you put any money in this card at the end of your trip, for example, you have 1,000 yen in it left, you can't refund that. I found that it's better option to go for the normal one, but this one doesn't have a minimum deposit. It's only for tourists. When I got this card from Narita Airport, I didn't know that this card is non-refundable and we have two types of Suica card. So you might be thinking, if we already have a JR pass, why would we need a Suica card? That would lead us to a very important fact about the public transport system in Tokyo. We have two subsystems in the public train system in Tokyo. We have JR lines and we also have the non-JR lines, which is called the Tokyo subway system. I think it'll be easier to understand if I show you the maps of each system. So here you see the Tokyo subway route map. There are quite a few train lines here. You can see the names on the right bottom corner. But you might think this is everything, but no, these are all the train lines in Tokyo except the JR lines. And that's why you'll need to get an IC card, because these lines wouldn't work with a JR pass. I think it's a good practice to download this map. I'll try to leave a link down in the description. Just have a look through it before going to Tokyo and familiarize yourself with the lines, depending on the place that you're gonna stay, which is usually Shinjuku or Shibuya. So here it says Shibuya and Shinjuku. Just have a look through the lines that are around the place that you're gonna stay. For example, I stayed in Shinjuku. I used the Marunouchi line a lot, which is the red line, and it's usually symbolized by the letter M. Also, there are some other prominent lines that I used a lot in Tokyo. Ginza line and Hibiya line are also very useful to be familiar with. And this is the picture of the JR network in Tokyo. The interesting point is that we have one loop line in Tokyo, which is called Yamanote line. You see it in the green, the bright green color. It's like a circle that goes around in a loop in the middle of the Tokyo downtown or city center. Again, it's good to have a look through these lines. I only use Yamanote line and Keio line. As you see here, this is the one that goes to Disneyland. Another beneficial piece of information to know is that each train line in Tokyo has a different logo. And in your train stations, when you want to look for the train to board, you have to look for the signs that direct you to the logo of that train line. So here I've searched the JR lines symbols in Tokyo, and the good thing is that all of the JR lines start with J. Their logo starts with J. For example, JY is for Yamanote line. If Google Map is directing you to use any of the lines that start with J, you'll know that you can use your JR passport for that line. Now let's talk about the ways and means of transport that you can take to move from the train station to the center of the Tokyo. There are generally two means of transport. You can take a train or a bus. Each of these means of transport obviously have advantages. Usually people would recommend to take a train because it's faster. If you want to take a train, there are two options. One of them is Narita Express, which is a JR line and would be included in your JR pass. And the other one is Skyliner, which is operated by a company other than JR. The other method of transport is bus. And I think if you have big luggage with you, it's better to go with the bus option. I used train from airport to Shinjuku. And then on my last day in Tokyo, just to go back to the airport, I took the bus. And I would say the difference in the duration of your travel wouldn't be that much. And bus is obviously cheaper. And if you have big luggage, bus has a bigger compartment for luggage, and also there would be a person that would get your luggage and would put it under the bus. Now let's get to the main part of this video, which is explaining my personal experience about using public transport in Tokyo and the points that are not covered in other videos. So just first you have to remember that Tokyo is the busiest city in the world, the metropolitan Tokyo area. It has more than 30 million, around like 33 million people living in it. And it has the busiest and biggest train stations in the world, especially the two biggest ones, the Tokyo station and Shinjuku station. Regardless of the place of your stay in Tokyo, I'm sure that eventually, even once, you'll have to use one of these big train stations, because these two stations are the connecting place of a variety of different lines. Finding the way to your train and even find the way out could be a very daunting experience in these train stations, especially if it's your first time in Tokyo. While navigating your way in Tokyo, you'll have one assistant, and that's Google Maps. Literally every foreigner in Tokyo is using Google Maps to find their way in the complex public transport system. What Google Maps does is that it gives you different pathways from your location to the destination. What you need to do is that you have to click on the details, because believe me, the devil lies in details in Tokyo subway system. The difference between getting lost or having a smooth trip to your destination is to understand all the details that are provided on Google Maps. For example, here I've asked Google Maps to direct me from Shinjuku to Tokyo Disneyland. Here you see the price of the total trip, and also if you click, you see the name of the stations. For example, if you board a train, you have to make sure that you're going through the right stream of stations, because otherwise you have boarded the wrong train. And obviously each line has two sides and different platforms. You see the name of the platform, and this is the name of the final destination for that ride. So all of these details are very important. Also, the time of the train arrival is very important. If you think you've found your train that you should board, but the time doesn't match the Google Maps, it's more than likely that you've taken the wrong train. Just be mindful that here I was using the web version of the Google Maps and it doesn't provide the full details. When you're using and also I'm in Australia currently, if you're in the location and using your phone, Google Maps provides even more details that are very necessary and helpful to find your way. These big stations like Tokyo Station and Shinjuku Station, they all have different entry, like a plethora of entries. Google Maps will tell you which entry you should enter the station to be easier to board your train. Also, when you want to exit the station, you should always exit through the gate that Google Maps is suggesting. So my first time in Tokyo, I arrived in Shinjuku Station, which it's the biggest station in the world and busiest, and people are coming from every direction imaginable. And you can't even stand still to check your phone because you'll be blocking someone's way. And I got stuck in Shinjuku Station for half an hour. I even walked for 20 minutes and I was still in Shinjuku Station. It's unbelievable. It has like gates to shopping centers and I couldn't even see the street. I wanted to get out and be on the street, but I couldn't find my way out to the street. And that's because I didn't pay attention to a tiny detail on my Google Maps, which was about the gate I needed to take to exit the Shinjuku Station. But the good news is that generally train stations in Tokyo have great signage. The majority of time they are also translated in English. For example, this is a sign that you might find in Shibuya station. And as I said, logos are very important in train stations in Tokyo. This is the Ginza line logo. And if you want to take the Ginza line, this is the logo that you have to follow. And these are, for example, our JR lines. Hopping off the train in Shibuya station and you were using Ginza line, but now you want to switch to a Yamanote line. You would look for this logo everywhere that you can and just follow the signs. It's also very important to take the right direction on the train. You might find the train station right and also the train line correctly. But as I said, train lines have two sides. For example, on the Yamanote line, it's a loop that goes clockwise and anti-clockwise. And Google Maps will tell you that which direction you need to take. In every platform, you'll see signs like this. You're here on Akihabara station. Google Maps is telling you to go to Kanda. If the sign on the platform is showing this, you'll be sure that you're taking the wrong direction. But if basically the arrow was going the other way, this is not the line that you will want to take. And in this photo, we see the exits. So the subway system obviously is under the ground and you need to take escalators or lifts to go above the station and on the street to reach to your destination. For example, this is the exit, the east exit in whatever station it is. So if you're Google Maps, you have to go through all the details in your Google Maps. And if it says exit the station via the west gate or the central gate, this is not the gate that you should take because this is the east gate. You should follow the signs for the west gate, for example, and follow that to be able to exit from the best gate possible. And the last point that I want to cover in this video is also very important. And that is Google Maps can't be trusted at all times. And after all, it's just a machine. You have to use your own personal judgment to choose the right path. And use a bit of common sense. Don't follow Google Maps directions blindly. Refresh your Google Maps constantly. Google Maps gives you directions based on your current location. Even if you change your location for 100 meters, results will be completely different. And sometimes if you want to go from center of Tokyo to Disneyland, there should be plenty of lines and plenty of options because that's a very popular route. And if Google Maps is, for example, suggesting you to take a taxi or suggesting you to take a ride a bicycle from there, you should be suspectful about that. Just change your location and refresh again and see if it gives you a better option. Even when I was coming back from Disneyland and I asked Google Maps to direct me to my hotel in Shinjuku, it completely omitted the monorail option in Disneyland and asked me to either walk for 20 minutes or take a taxi to the JR train station. But when I moved my location for a few meters and I refreshed my page again, it amended the suggested pathway and considered the Disney monorail option as a way to get to the main train station. It's also a good practice to be above the ground in open air if you're first using your Google Maps. Having a strong GPS signal will help the Google Maps to give you a more accurate and the best option possible. Alright guys, I think I've covered all the points that I wanted to discuss. I really hope that you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, just comment down below and I surely get back to you as soon as possible. Japan is an amazing country. It was my first time going to Japan and Tokyo probably is the best city that I've ever visited. Just make sure you follow and pay attention to the points that I've discussed in this video and I'm sure that you'll have probably the best trip of your life. Thank you.